Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm David. Today's video is more of a layout update really than a scenic how-to. There is bits and bobs of how-to, or certainly following along the process I used in this video. Of course the main focus will be this scenery along here, so working on the embankment, the tunnel portal, some trees, some scenics. I've got two fields here, so this is a wheat field and I'll go on to that later on, and a sheep field as well. So plenty to see, as well as a few generic bits and bobs updates on the layout, adding this lighting rig, things like that. I had my annual leave, so I had a week on holiday and then 2 weeks here visiting my family and also getting on with railway bits and bobs. And also currently I've managed to wangle a 3-day weekend to come back and finish off some bits and bobs, as well as spend some time with family. So yeah, throughout the video I'll be mentioning I worked on the storage yard, so I've got all of the track laid in the storage yard, and I've done a heck of a lot of automation, or certainly the electronics for the automation. That'll be a video on its own. I don't know if I've uploaded that yet, I don't know which way round I'm going to edit these, but there'll be a full video on that. I've also made a start on the branch line. I don't know if I've fully announced what's going on with that yet, but that'll be a full video. There's a reasonable amount of progress. I'm looking at it because it's over there. Yeah, it's just the foundations, but it's looking good. So yeah, full video coming on that as well whenever I get around to editing it. Yeah, thank you very, very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing, certainly, as well. I think there's nearly 4,000 of you off the top of my head, which is, yeah, amazing. I never thought I'd get anywhere near that number of subscribers on YouTube. Okay, so today's area of interest is this scene down here. You can see we've got the tunnel. Just need to touch up the tunnel portal there. The track needs some weathering. This embankment needs a lot of work, static grassing and stuff. The first thing though, I think it's going to be some lighting. As you can see, terrible shadows going across here. So let's get one installed. Right, okay, so I've got the same type of frame installed as I had on the other two modules. If you want to see exactly how I made this, there is a video on it already up on the channel, link in the top corner. This would have been much easier to install if I'd taken the whole module out, but it's a right faff getting it to balance properly on the legs and things, so I left it in place. Okay, time to put this timber across the front, and then once I've got that in and it's all level and I'm happy with it, I'll actually put the LEDs in and wire them up. So it's about 3 hours later, and you can see I've got the lights in. So all the way along here, we've got the previous two scenes, and now this one is lit. The lighting does look very slightly different. I don't know really why. It might be because, whereas previously I'd used my 3D printed mounts, this time round I've just made one out of balsa wood. And also I've got one less light. So the other two have got 2 beams, this one's only got the 1. That's just because I ran out of LED strips. Although this one actually appears brighter. In fairness, it's probably the back scene. I actually think that's what I'm going to work on next, is the back scene. So I'm just going to get a rough coat of paint on here. So the general sky painting that I've been doing before. I'll probably also paint this front fascia here black. And then it'll be time to get on with some scenery. Okay, so there's already a massive improvement just having a sky there. Some work to be done on the sky. I'll come back with the airbrush, blend those clouds in a little better than they already are. You can see just looking over, down at the sky over there, I've used the airbrush to just fluff those clouds up a bit. What I'm doing now is just marking out roughly where this scene's going to go. So this down here, I'm going to try and blend into one field, sort of this shape here. And that's going to be a sheep field with the farmer in. I've actually got some ModelU figures, and I'll show you those in just a bit. So I've got this little bit of scenic mat left, which is from Lars Optoff Scenery. So I'm going to blend this in across the board here. It's some of the same mat that I used making this horse field down here, and you can see it blends quite effectively. So there's just a small offcut of that there. What's going in here then? There'll be a break, probably with a tree or two and a hedge line, into another field, and this is where I'm thinking of putting this bush wheat field. So that's what it looks like there. Beautiful. So it comes on a sprue. It's a bush wheat field. So I'm going to give this a go. Don't know how it's going to come out, but one can only try.
3 days later.
I spent the past couple of days working on that storage yard, getting some wiring done, etc. in there. And it's time to take a look at this scene. So I'm quite happy with those clouds. Again, I will be blending those in slightly with the airbrush. You can see here I've got this wheat field. So this took me a good couple of hours the other day. Get it in the light here. It's that bush kit. So you paint each strip individually, painting the soil on, twist them to shape, and then glue them down row by row onto a base there. So I've just used a bit of cardboard, and yeah, that took me a while, and I started quite late doing it. So that is going to go there, and I think I've got a tree here. This is actually a falla tree that I've just put a little bit of scatter on. There we go. I'll put the exact code on the screen there, and I think that's looking quite good. So I've got some rubberized horsehair here. This is actually just old stuff that I've ripped up off previous layouts, but I can revitalise that, and that's going to make some nice shrubbery and bushes along there. But as you can see over here, there is quite a gap in the back scene. So what I've done is produced quite a large tree. So it doesn't fully cover that gap, it's still visible, but if I glue it in the right place, you can see it does look quite effective. Now, the way I made this was getting a woodland scenic tree. It's actually a waterside tree, one that I've used previously down by the river. And I cut all the branches off, glued on some seafoam, spray painted it brown, and then put some scatter back on, and I think it looks quite effective. So right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come along, probably with a pencil, and mark out roughly what I want the back scene to look like. And then once I've done that, I can paint some back scene, and then it's time to get on with some scenery. Okay, it looks slightly cartoony at the moment, but once we get all of this scenery in front, I'm hoping it'll look a little bit better. I can also come back and change things as and when as well. But yes, we've got this field that lines up nicely here, and path going off into the distance. Again, a little bit clumsy there, but I can come and tidy that up when I'm in a better mood for painting, because I've had enough of this. And then here, you can see that field blends in nicely. If you get the perfect angle, it does look quite nice there. And we will obviously have trees and stuff going in front of that. That'll disguise it further. So yeah, what I think I'm going to do for now is leave that to dry. Just let it be. And then I'm going to do something else. You can see at the moment my paints are all over the place. So whilst this dries, I think it's about time I tidy my paints up. Okay, so you joined me over at my desk. You can see a few things I've really done to tidy up over this past week. I've got these drawers. These are from, I think the top set's from the Range and the bottom set's from Dunelm. You can see the desk has become a dumping ground. There is various paint all over it, scenery items. That'll come in handy in a minute. And a couple of locos and bits of rolling stock that I've identified need some work doing to them. Okay, so through the magic of editing, let's tidy it up. Right, so I've given that a clean. First things first, I've actually bought myself an A2 cutting mat, and that will actually protect the desk and also give me a nice cutting surface. So we'll put that on. Okay, so that's installed. Let's get a closer look there. That should be a lovely surface to do all my work on. Next job, I've got a set of shelves to assemble. Okay, not bad. So these are just a cheap set from Amazon. I think it's £25 for the two of them. Literally just searched paint rack on Amazon, and this was one of the first results. I do also have a paintbrush holder, but I'm not going to make it for now. You can see the offset to the right hand side of my desk. This is because my laptop normally sits about here with YouTube on or something whilst I'm working. So right, what I'm going to do whilst that paint is still drying up on the back scene is sort all of my paints out, put them onto this shelf, and yeah, then we'll carry on with the scenery. Okay, so that's my desk vaguely sorted out. You can see I've got a load of Vallejo paints that I've actually just bought. A lot of browns and greens. I actually just bought a World War II, I think it's World War II German Army set or World War II set that had all these browns and greens, and then just a normal set to get those other colours. Right, so now I've got this sorted out. I think that back scene has dried enough. It's now time to work on some scenery. Okay, so I've got the mat glued in and the field glued in there. I've also come along with a hoover and just gone all over this. I don't know what happened when I made this. Something to do with the type of glue I used or something, but it didn't hold very well. So I've just hoovered that all off and scraped it all off clean. And what I'm going to do is give this a coat of paint and then come back once the paint has started to dry and do all the static grass. Okay, so that's an incredibly rough base coat of 2mm autumn and 2mm spring static grass down. Don't want to patronise anyone. Literally all you do is put down I've got the WWS basing glue. You don't necessarily need it, but I think it does actually make a difference. So I've used the WWS basing glue. And then my WWS static grass applicator. I've just put down some 2mm grass, and I'm going to come along now with the layering spray, also from WWS, and start putting down some 4mm grass, and we're just going to try and get all the grass to look like this Lars Opthoff mat, particularly in that field area. You might be wondering what's the point in having the mat if I'm then just going to make my static grass look the same. I don't know, it creates a really good base, I think, to start off with, and then by blending in my grass to that, it actually forces me then to put a lot more effort in. Also, I've just noticed it looks rather dark in that area there, so I'll probably lighten that up in a bit with some paints. But anyway, right, more static grass. Okay, so apologies for the fan noise in the background, but I'm just trying to vent off some fumes. I've run out of static grass layering spray, so I thought, I'll use hairspray. Then I ran out of hairspray, so I thought, I'll use my matte varnish. And then I ran out of matte varnish. So I'm not sure how well stuck down any of this grass is. As you can see, I've just been working on this field here in particular, and this bit just has that base layer. Same as this side. This all is just a base layer. So what I'm going to have to do, to be honest, I don't really have much time left here at my parents', by which I mean I'm leaving tomorrow, but basically this is going to need spraying once I've actually bought something. You can see it's starting to blend in well, coming down this way, and also sort of matching the summer colours of the grass over there. What I will be doing though is coming back with the airbrushing the colour of this grass slightly, and all those sorts of things. So right, for now, this is what it looks like, and I'm going to leave it to dry. Okay, so it's actually a week later. Not sure where I left off in the last clip, but I know I definitely run out of static grass layering spray and hairspray and matte varnish, and I've replaced all of those things. You can see I've been going absolutely mad with the dead grass over here. Probably going to turn it back a little bit, but yeah, it's looking good. You can see this section I've not been working on at all, but I've just been trying to focus on these two sides of the embankment and also the field over there. So yeah, I'm getting pretty happy with the field. It's looking really good, rough and overgrown. I think I might put a little bit more sort of green grass in the field, or I might actually come back with the airbrush. I've been using the same trick as before, using the airbrush just to tone down some of the grass and change its colour slightly, and it seems to be going quite well. What I think I'm going to do now though is roughly position in some hedges and trees so I know where they're going to go, and then put some brown paint under all of them, and that'll just demark out from the static grass. So right, I'll give that a go and then I'll come back. Okay, so I've well and truly weathered the track in here. I think it's looking alright. It's looking a little bit more wintry than August, but I'm sure when I add some shrubs and bushes that will brighten that up a little bit, and not to mention the actual sheep and the farmers themselves. So it's a bit extreme what I've done here. I've just covered this all in brown, but this is marking out where a hedgerow is going to go. I've just cut into the grass a little bit there just by rubbing it off, and that's going to be where the fence goes. I'm actually going to put a little bit of, I'm thinking 2 tyre tracks into the field here and filling it in with some grass. Then see under the tree there I've painted in and under that tree as well. Now, I have actually put in, I don't know if I've mentioned this yet in this video, put in an order for a reasonable sum of money for some MBR trees. That's MBR, Mike Bravo Romeo. And they're actually imported from Poland, so I've no idea when they're going to arrive. Definitely not when I'm visiting this time round. But they're handmade and they're beautiful, so I've got some ideas for some to go in here. But for now, I think I'm just going to put the lower shrubs in and the bushes. You might see as well a slight faint line along here, along the field. Now that's actually going to be where a fence goes. Right, so what I think I'm going to do is probably put down a tiny bit of scatter, actually. A tiny bit of tile grout. Okay, so I've added some tile grout. A little bit more yellow static grass as well along here. And some various bits and bobs of brown paint again. I am really liking now how that gate blends in, going off into the back scene. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to leave this be. I've done a lot of work on this over the last, actually 2 hours or so. What I'm going to do is move on, get some base scenery done over here, and I might also paint up some of the figures and things that need to go in the field, and then I can come back later on or tomorrow and keep going once this has dried a bit and I can see what the colours actually look like.
Okay, so what I'm doing here is giving this tunnel portal a little bit of a clean. Now there's a couple of methods you can use when you're installing tunnel portals, bridges, those sorts of things, as to whether you paint before or after you install it. Now I'm always one for painting before you install something. It means you can really get the colours to work exactly how you want. You can do it at a desk and it's nice and comfy. You're not leaning over the baseboard or anything awkward like that. Now the only problem comes when you install is, as you can see, I've got some plaster, some sculptor mould in between the slabs or the stonework on this tunnel portal. So I'm just removing this very carefully. Now fortunately this tunnel portal does have several coats of matte varnish on top of the paintwork protecting it. So all I'm using here is a normal old toothbrush and some water. I think there's about 1 drop of fairy liquid in the water, nothing special. As you can see, the plaster is coming right off. The next stage then was to put some static grass down, so all I'm using again is the WWS basing glue, followed by some 2mm spring static grass, and this gives a really nice base layer. And then using the layering spray, I've just come back and added various yellows. I think there's some patchy, some muddy, 4mm static grass from World Scenics, and that just blends in the static grass with the rest of the scene.
Okay, so it's Monday morning. I've got to get a nice 5-hour train back to work this afternoon, and then I probably won't be back at my parents' for probably a couple of months actually. I'm not sure, I might take some weekends off, but I'm not too sure. For now, you can see my nice 5MT there. She's actually got a rake of plywood vent vans. So I bought these in a job lot on eBay. There's one there from the Weathering Works, and then 3 grain wagons actually, and they're all for the branch line, but I'll explain all of that in a future video. For now though, looking at this scene, you can see it's progressed quite a bit. I actually did a lot on Saturday evening that I didn't film, and then yesterday, Sunday, I worked on some other bits and bobs, but I did come back and touch up some of the scenery as well. So yeah, I'll take you through a quick tour then. So just coming down, looking at the field itself, not too much has changed. The grass is perhaps a little greener, no pun intended. I've generally just lightened up the grass a little bit, and then I've also weathered up the land over there. It's looking quite nice. A lot of work is needed. I might do some of this today. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with my last couple of hours here, but I need to add sort of a row of trees at the back and a hedge along here. That tree's in the wrong field. There we go. Obviously these trees aren't fixed in yet, so hence why they're just on their bases. They will be properly secured into the landscape. Something else I've also done is I've painted up a little shepherd or farmer to go in the field here. Excuse the 5MT, which makes her way back round again. But yeah, that's from ModelU's Patreon actually. So I subscribe to their Patreon, and every month they give you files to download, and I've printed that on my own printer, this channel is by no means going to become an advert for 3D printing or laser cutting or anything, as I've seen a few YouTubers do recently. But I will make use of my printer, as I do have it, and it is very useful. So yeah, I'll give you a close-up photo of that, but that's from ModelU's Patreon, and I have just downloaded and printed that. The 5MT has stopped itself with the storage yard, but I'm not going to go correct it, because it's actually nice and quiet. But yeah, so other than that, the field's not changed too much. Obviously just got this line here where I want to put a fence in, and that is that. And facing along this way, a lot has changed. So the track has been given a bit more weathering, but the major thing are the embankments. So what I've done here is I've come along with layers and layers of static grass, and also some ModelU Figure fine turf, and I think it's burnt grass, just to build up this nice dead static grass look. I've also then come along and I had some Lars Opthoff sort of undergrowth type stuff here, so I've used that to make some little bushes, and that's looking quite nice, like heather bushes or something along the embankment. Again, I'll be following this up with the Polish bushes when they come. I'm going to keep saying that. When they do arrive, I'm hoping they actually do live up to my expectations. Along here needs to go a load of trees, and I'm thinking on this embankment 1 or 2 large trees overhanging the track. I think that could look quite effective. I'll see what options I've got. Coming back here then, this is going to be woodland on top of the hill. There was going to be a ruin on top of the hill, or some sort of cameo scene. There still might be some sort of cameo, but the ruin just looked a little bit too big, I think. But what I've done is I've gone for a slightly darker look here. I've used a lot of brown paint and darker green scatters to make a nice sort of woodland undergrowthy look. And then here, this entire section here of shrubbery and heather bushes looking stuff and undergrowth is actually some of the polyfibre off of a Woodland Scenics tree. So if I come down here, here is the handmade tree that I made using a Woodland Scenics polyfibre tree. So again, coming down here, it's one of these Woodland Scenics like birch trees, and I ripped the polyfibre off and glued it together to make that tree, and that left me with a load of polyfibre. So all I've done is glue it on top of the track. Sorry for making you dizzy. Glue it on top of the tunnel, sorry. And then come along with a load of different scatters, and I think it looks quite effective as just some overgrown bushes and undergrowth. For today, I'm not sure what I'm going to get on with. I'm going to do something. I've got a couple of hours left here. I think I might make up a load of Seafoam Trees and just start filling in along here. Again, I have bought some specific bushes from MBR that I want to try, but I think a lot of the background trees will just be Seafoam anyway. And then certainly around this field, I want to make some Seafoam and horsehair bushes, so I might do that. And then it'll be time to pack up and go back to work. Okay, so you joined me in my tree manufacturing facility, also known as the greenhouse. It's just because it's raining. I'd normally do this outside. What I'm thinking I'm going to do is just spray these brown, and then come back with various scatters, a mix of fine turf, burnt grass, and fine turf weeds is what I'm going to be using. I can always come back and change colours with the airbrush later on, but I'm just going to get some trees and bushes. I'm actually really happy with this box of Seafoam. It's a newer box of Gauge Master Seafoam. I don't know if they've changed the supplier or something. This is actually a lot better tree material than some of the other boxes of Seafoam I've had. I mean, look at this one. That is a perfect tree right out of the box. Well, perfect for a background tree. It's not going to win any awards, but it'll look really good in the back of one of those scenes. Right, time to spray these up. Okay, so I'm back at the layout, and as you can see, I've started gluing these in place. So I've got some rubberised horsehair, just making the shrubs and bushes along here. Then I've started putting some Seafoam trees in. So actually quite happy with this one, the way that one's turned out. It's a nice tree there. We've got some smaller little bushes and shrubs. And then just in the back there, that lighter colour is actually some Woodland Scenics fine leaf foliage. It's basically Seafoam that's been painted and covered in a scatter, but I'm just using that to get some colour variation. So I think my next job I'm going to keep blending in this area, blend in the background, and then I can get that massive tree installed where I know where it's going to go. And then I think it's just going to be some embankment trees over there. Okay, so I've got that large tree in. I've just blended in the base with some brown paint there. I've also glued in the Land Rover there, and also, again, a little bit of brown paint just to give the tyre marks, and also just weather in the glue underneath that you could see. So yeah, actually quite happy with how this field is turning out. Going to have a fence along here, and then the sheep and shepherd in the field. So yeah, I'm going to briefly turn my attention to this back section here and just use up the rest of the seafoam trees I've made. Yeah, we'll see how they look. Okie dokie, I've got some trees in there. Again, background trees, more trees coming in front. That'll be a lot better. There's two ways of doing this hobby. You can spend time or money. So I've decided to spend some money and get some decent trees. So that'll fill in. There's a gap there where I might put a bigger tree. There's a few little shrubs that can go in along here. Certainly along the top, a lot more trees to add. I want that to be a woodland, obviously with this footpath run down front. And then I think I might put like a willow tree or something just here. Just sort of arcing over the track a little bit. Middle field, yeah, that's blended in lovely. Really happy with that. I am tempted to put a tractor or a rusty something farm machinery under here. It's blended in quite nicely. It's a bit dark under there, but it does sort of look like there's some sort of path that comes in next to the field. Maybe you can get a better view like that. Yeah, and I'm really happy with how that field looks. That's the bush kit blended into the back scene. And yeah, so sort of from here, looks perfect, blends in, right angle. As you come round here, it starts to go off at a different angle, then it just looks like an L-shaped field or even a field on a hill. And then here, you're sort of blocked off by those shrubs and trees now. So it does look quite effective. And yeah, overall, I'm actually really happy with how this is going. For the middle bit here, I think I've ordered some birch trees, some taller ones. I think they'll look quite nice along here, and I'm tempted to pull this tree out and replace it with something else. I'm not sure. Okay, thank you very, very much for watching this video. As you can see there, I was sort of at a push at the end there to get some scenery done. I'd actually finished my leave period, gone back to work for a week, and then had a weekend off to come back and finish some bits and bobs off. Not just for the railway, but it was also nice to get back and see my parents again for the weekend. Yeah, as I said at the start of the video, I've got probably 2 videos upcoming. I've got one fully filmed for the storage yard, so that covers laying the rest of the track, getting servos working as point motors, and a little bit on the electronics and how I'm running the automation on the layout, although I will be going into that slightly more in a future video. And then the next video will be on the branch line. So I've got some footage filmed for the start of the construction of the branch line, and that will certainly be going into a video, although I'm thinking I might also go over the track plan again, so let me know if you want to see that in the comment section. I'm not sure when those videos are going to get uploaded, as I am really busy at work, so that could be a couple of weeks, it could be next month, I generally have no idea. It'll be whenever I get round to editing them. Other than that, yeah, thank you very much for watching, liking, subscribing. Yeah, there's nearly 4,000 of you now, so that's incredible, and I'll see you in the next video.